You just received a promotion. You just won an award. You just delivered a presentation that everyone praised. Your colleagues are congratulating you. Your family is proud. Objectively, you are a success. So why is there a cold, sinking feeling in your stomach? Why is the only voice you can hear in the middle of all the applause a whisper that says, "You fooled them again"? This is not a video about low self-esteem. This is a video about the strange, painful paradox that often comes with high achievement. It's called Impostor Syndrome, but that name is deeply misleading. It's not a syndrome, it's not a disease, and it's not a sign of weakness. It is the psychological price you pay for being self-aware. It is the shadow cast by your own competence. And the story you've been told that you need to cure this feeling is wrong. This is not a story about fixing a flaw. It's a story about the devastating burden of high standards and how understanding why you feel like a fraud is the key to finally realizing that you are the furthest thing from one. Let's be precise. When psychologists Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes first coined this term in 1978, they were studying high-achieving women. They found a shocking consistency. Women who were, by every external metric, exceptional, believed their success was due to luck, timing, or their ability to deceive others. They felt like imposters. Since then, we've learned this feeling is universal. It haunts boardrooms, operating theaters, art studios, and academic halls. It is the secret anxiety of the expert. But here is the first critical mistake we make. We confuse this feeling with reality. We think that feeling like an imposter means we are an imposter. This is a cognitive error. Your brain is a magnificent, flawed machine. It is not designed to see objective reality. It is designed to ensure your survival. And in the complex social hierarchy of human beings, survival means not being cast out. It means not being exposed as a fraud, because in our ancestral past, to be shamed and exiled was a death sentence. So your brain, in its infinite protective wisdom, develops a brutal internal critic. This critic's job is not to make you happy, its job is to keep you safe. It does this by constantly scanning for the gap between who you pretend to be and who you fear you are. The greater your success, the more public your achievements, the bigger that perceived gap becomes. The more you have to lose, the louder the critic screams. The successful person isn't afraid of failure. They are terrified of exposure. We believe this feeling is a malfunction. We believe the goal is to silence this voice. But what if it isn't? What if this syndrome is actually a signpost, a painful but necessary byproduct of something else? The problem isn't that you feel this. The problem is that you think you're the only one. But how does this gap form in the first place? How can a mind that is smart enough to achieve success be so blind to its own competence? It's because of a profound psychological trap. To understand it, we must explore the strange, inverse relationship between knowledge and confidence. This is where we find our first pillar, the hidden psychology. You have likely heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect. It states that people with low ability at a task often overestimate their ability. This is the peak of Mount Stupid. The truly incompetent are blissfully unaware of their own incompetence. They don't know enough to even know what they don't know. But imposter syndrome is the opposite. It is the Dunning-Kruger effect in reverse. It is the curse of the expert. When you first learn a skill, your confidence soars. You learn a few chords on a guitar, you feel like a musician. You write your first piece of code, you feel like a developer. But the moment you decide to get serious, everything changes. The moment you dedicate yourself to mastery, you begin to see the true scope of your field. The musician discovers music theory. The developer discovers systems architecture. The writer discovers the terrifying genius of Shakespeare. You realize the mountain you thought you'd climbed was merely the first hill. Ahead of you lies a vast, imposing, infinite range of knowledge. This is the valley of despair. The imposter feeling is not a sign of your lack of knowledge. It is a direct result of your expanding awareness. It is the pain of your own high standards. The true amateur looks at the expert and sees magic. The expert looks at their own work and sees only the flaws, the compromises, the shortcuts. They see the gap between their work and perfection. This is the first paradox. The more you know, the more you feel like a fraud. But this internal standard is only half the story. This feeling is amplified by a second, equally devastating psychological error: the perfectionism trap. You, the high achiever, are likely a perfectionist. You believe, if I was truly smart, talented, or worthy, this would be easy. You believe the process of creation should be as clean as the final product. When you struggle, when you sweat, when you have to rewrite a line of code 10 times, when you stumble over your words in a meeting, your brain doesn't register this as work. It registers it as proof of fraud. You are comparing your behind-the-scenes footage, messy, chaotic, and full of doubt, with everyone else's highlight reel. You see your colleague's final polished presentation. You don't see the 40 hours of panic and self-doubt that went into it. You read a brilliant novel. You don't see the 500 pages the author threw in the trash. We judge ourselves by our messy process. We judge others by their flawless product. This combination is devastating. Your expanding knowledge shows you an impossible standard, the mountain, and your perfectionism tells you that any struggle to reach it, the climb, is proof of your inadequacy. You are trapped. You are a competent, brilliant human being who has been intellectually cornered by your own high standards. This internal psychological prison is bad enough, but it has been weaponized. The modern world has taken this private anxiety and turned it into a public epidemic. We have built a machine that is designed to make you feel like an imposter. And you are plugged into it every single day. This brings us to our second pillar, the modern lesson. We must ask, why does this feeling seem so common now? It's because we live in the age of performative competence. Your parents and grandparents lived in a world where competence was proven over decades. You were an apprentice, then a journeyman, then a master. There was a process. We live in a world of the personal brand. Social media, particularly platforms like LinkedIn and Instagram, has created a culture where you are not rewarded for being competent, you are rewarded for appearing competent. You are encouraged to brand yourself as an expert, a guru, a thought leader, often before you've had time to truly become one. The entire digital economy is built on a fantasy that success is effortless, that knowledge is absolute, and that the hustle is always joyful. This creates a new kind of cultural sickness. We have created a world full of performative experts who, in private, are drowning in the anxiety of their own curated image. But what does this do to you, the person who is actually doing the work? It makes you feel insane. You look at the gurus online with their millions of followers, their perfect whiteboards, and their slick, confident answers. And then you look at your own work. It's messy, it's hard, it's full of nuance, and it depends. Your authentic, hard-won competence suddenly feels fraudulent when compared to the inauthentic, performative competence that gets all the applause. The market rewards simplistic, confident answers. The real world, as you know, is built on complex, humble questions. This is the great tragedy of the modern professional. The real imposters are the ones who never feel like imposters. The person who has all the answers, who feels no doubt, who is 100% certain, that person is not an expert. They are a zealot, or worse, a con artist. They have successfully summited Mount Stupid and built a house there. You, on the other hand, are in the valley of despair. You feel like a fraud not because you are one, but because you are a deeply honest person in a fundamentally dishonest world. Your imposter syndrome is not a syndrome. It is a compass. It is a sign that you are operating at the edge of your abilities. It is a sign that you care about quality. It is a sign that you have humility. In a world full of noise, your self-doubt is a signal of your clarity. So, we are left with a terrifying but liberating truth. This feeling may never go away. As long as you keep learning, as long as you keep pushing yourself, you will invite this ghost to walk with you. Are we then condemned to a life of anxious achievement? No. This brings us to our final and most important step, the philosophical reframe. What do we do with this feeling? We must stop trying to cure it and start learning to use it. For millennia, we have been asking the wrong question. The question is not, how do I get rid of this feeling? The question is, what is this feeling for? The answer comes from the very first imposter in Western philosophy, Socrates. When the oracle at Delphi declared Socrates the wisest man in Athens, he was confused. He felt like a fraud. He said, "I know one thing, that I know nothing." This was not false modesty. This was a radical intellectual statement. The politicians, the poets, the artisans, they all believed they knew something. They were certain. Socrates, by being aware of the vastness of his own ignorance, was the only one who was truly wise. His imposter syndrome was his wisdom. This is the reframe you must make. You have been mislabeling the feeling. When your brain whispers, "I am a fraud," what it really means is, "I am aware of my own limitations." When your brain screams, "I am not good enough," what it really means is, "I am dedicated to mastery and I am not there yet." When your brain panics, "They are all going to find me out," what it really means is, "I value the truth and I respect my audience enough to not want to mislead them." You are not feeling the anxiety of a con man. You are feeling the humility of a craftsman. So, you do not fight this feeling. You do not try to fix it. You listen to it. You harness it. When the feeling rises, do not see it as a stop sign. See it as a guide. Let it be the force that drives you to double-check your work. Let it be the humility that forces you to listen to criticism. Let it be the engine that fuels your preparation. The goal is not to become a person who feels no doubt. The goal is to become a person who, despite feeling doubt, has the courage to act anyway. The definition of authenticity is not the absence of fear. It is the courage to show up while afraid. The person who waits until they feel ready will wait forever. The person who waits for their imposter feeling to fade will never create anything. The true masters, the artists, the scientists, the leaders you admire, they don't feel less imposter syndrome than you. They have simply learned to dance with it. They have learned to see it not as an enemy, but as a difficult, demanding, and ultimately vital partner in the act of creation. The story of imposter syndrome is the story of a paradox. You feel it not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to pursue something difficult. You feel it not because you are ignorant, but because you are wise enough to see how much more there is to learn. You feel it not because you are a fraud, but because you are one of the few who is trying to be truly authentic. So, the next time that cold, familiar whisper arrives, "You're a fraud," do not fight it, do not believe it, but do not ignore it. Acknowledge it. Thank it for trying to keep you safe. Thank it for reminding you of your high standards. And then calmly turn back to your work and prove it wrong one more time. The tragedy of the imposter isn't the feeling itself. The tragedy is letting that feeling write the last page of your story. My question for you is this: what is the one thing you would do right now if you didn't have to wait until you felt good enough? Let me know your perspective in the comments below. And if you're looking for more deep dives that challenge the way we see ourselves, subscribe for our exploration next week. Thank you for thinking with me today.